we are so glad to be joined by, on the phone by you. Lake Travis and Westlake, obviously the big game in the Austin area. Do we really know how good this Lake Travis team is yet?
I don't think we do. I don't. Midway was kind of a test early in the season, but Copper's Cove isn't what Copper's Cove used to be, and they haven't played Bowie yet, so their first couple of games in district haven't been the toughest of games. So I think Charlie Brewer has maybe played in one fourth quarter this year, so it's tough to exactly tell how good this team is, but we're going to find out on Friday because this Westlake team is definitely going to test them.
The Lake Travis offense obviously starts with Charlie Brewer, but how important is what Abe Willows does on the ground to this Lake Travis attack?
When the season started, we were all asked to do our preseason picks for our All Central Texas Player of the Year award. Abe Willows was my pick just because I thought he was a really underrated back. He opens up a lot. You can't devote all your attention to stopping the pass if he's back there. I think he's averaging over 11 yards per carry this year, and it's kind of disappointing that he hasn't got the carry just because Coach Carter doesn't like to run up the scores. I think he has less than 60 carries this year, but he scored 11 times. So he's really good, and if they go on a playoff run, maybe that preseason pick's going to look good for me, but he's really important to them and what they do.
He sure is. On the other side, Westlake, a squad that has been tested, a squad that has been, has run through a bit of a tougher schedule, and they've got their quarterback, Sam Ehlinger. As far as in talking with Todd Dodge, how does he compare, or how would you compare Sam Ehlinger to some of the other quarterbacks he's obviously groomed in the past?
Well, I know Todd's obviously had a lot of good quarterbacks over the past few years, and Sam starting as a sophomore says a lot about what he thinks of him. I think Brendan Wooten, when Coach Dodge was at Marble Falls, was the first ever sophomore to ever start for him. So, obviously he doesn't start a lot of sophomores. So, really talented. I don't know how you stack him up against the Chase Daniels of the world, but he's done really well, and he's been everything they've asked him to be. And he's just improving, and he's going to be a monster next year, I think.
We're talking with Danny Davis of the Austin American-Statesman here on the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Radio Hour. We won't harp too much on Lake Travis Westlake, although that is the biggest game in the state, or at least in the area, and almost certainly in the state. Another game that catches my eye here in 13-6A, Round Rock takes on Pflugerville Hendrickson, a Hendrickson squad that's kind of, really both these squads, Round Rock and Hendrickson, flying under the radar. What do you make of this one?
It's one of those games that on paper, they both have one loss, but both their losses were close losses and 3-point losses, state-ranked teams. Round Rock lost in the first week to Temple. Judson got Hendrickson. I think that score was 12-9 in the first week. So, they've both been playing well since those opening losses, and those opening losses aren't anything worth shaking your head at. I think Round Rock's been playing great since over the last month of the season, kind of reminding people why they won a district championship last year. Hendrickson has had some interesting scores. They only beat McNeil by 10. Stony Point was an onside kick away from having a chance to tie it against them. So Hendrickson has had some questionable scores, but they're still undefeated in district play, and they can run the football, and they have those 6 D1 kids on their roster. So that is a talented Hendrickson team, and it's going to be fun to see how that shakes up. I think Round Rock's going to win this one.
Cedar Park, their big win last week over Austin Vandergrift, in my mind, solidifies themselves as the top team in Class 5A, and almost certainly puts them in the driver's seat to win 25-5A. Assuming you have Cedar Park at number 1 in that district, is Vandergrift still your undisputed number 2?
I think so. Vandergrift, the end score does not, 13-point loss may make people think that they're in 2 different categories. But Vandergrift had a lead, and they had the ball in Cedar Park territory with 7 minutes to go, and they just fell apart and kept fumbling the football, and were maybe trying to rally too much and make big plays instead of just pounding the football and getting it down the field. So if these 2 teams played again this week, I'd still feel comfortable picking Vandergrift. I think Cedar Park deserves to be 1 in that district, but I think Vandergrift's the clear number 2, and then Vista Ridge is the clear number 3, and we can argue about who's number 4. But I don't think Vandergrift fans should be freaking out about that loss last week.
Oh, whatever. They should be freaking out.
We're talking with Danny Davis of the Austin American-Statesman here on DCTF Live. Get involved with the conversation. Hashtag DCTF Live. Danny, I want to ask you about Round Rock Cedar Ridge, a young program that gave Round Rock really all they wanted last week, kind of very, very nearly knocked off Round Rock. Is this a team that is, how dangerous, for people who don't know about this Round Rock Cedar Ridge team, tell us a little bit about them.
Like you said, they're a young team. They've had success. They've reached this is their 4th varsity season, and they're going to be going to playoffs for the 3rd year. Won a playoff game in their first year. Last year, Bowie got them in the first round. So they've had some success. They had a lot of turnovers this year, in their offense. Had a new quarterback come in. A kid who played a little bit last year was actually a starting safety for most of last season until some injuries forced him to play some quarterback. And the new piece on their offense have just worked well. And the defense is playing all right. I know they were pretty high on their defense coming into the season, but even though they lost to Round Rock, that loss said a lot because last year they lost by, I think it was 46 points. They lost to Round Rock last year, and the year before they had a really hot start and then played Hendrickson and got pounded. So they needed to play well against one of those top teams, and they did. Only lost by 3, and came down to a botched snap on a field goal attempt at the end. So I think Cedar Ridge sent a message to some people that they're here, and I think they're probably going to draw Westlake in the first round. It looks like so that could be a fun by-district playoff game.
Could be fun. Danny, one last question before we let you go. Best press box food in the Austin area?
Well, I think you have to go Leander ISD. They gave us torchies at Gupton last week. If you go to Bible, they usually have some chicken stuff. And I know when Vandergrift was hosting Vista Ridge, they had a steakhouse catering. So Leander ISD does well. But I live in this city, and so I wish for the Austin ISD to feed us, but at least they're giving us water now. That's a step up, I guess.
He is Danny Davis of the Austin American-Statesman. Follow him on Twitter at AASDanny and check out his fine work at statesman.com.
To be fair to Danny, there's not actually any room in the House Park press box for food. There's barely enough room for extra bodies.
For people.
That's accurate, too.
That is accurate. Danny, thanks for joining us, bud.
Thanks for having me.